So we are tasting some really serious Greek wines tonight. There are different levels, different quality levels. And at Merchant of Wine, I work hard to find some wines that are some great values and to find some great wines. There's a couple in this lineup tonight that kind of cross over. Our first wine this evening is one of those that I'm going to put in one of the best values on our website if you're into dry white wine. This first wine that we're going to taste tonight is sensational, and but it is bone dry, and I'm not sure that it's everyone's favorite. But I think at its price point, it may be one of the best values on the website, period. So Greece is really part of the origins of wine, and it was really the way the wine world kind of took hold was that the grapes came down to the marketplaces from where the grapes grew, which were originally in the mountains, um, places like Mesopotamia, where it took a while for those grapes to get to the marketplaces. And some of those grapes would actually ferment along the journey. And those grapes were expensive. And that was kind of the early impression of wine, that wine was for the elite. And the whole Greek movement, Greek wines were really a part of, this movement 6,500 years ago. Some of the earliest indications of organized grape growing and organized winemaking. Um, there's probably somewhere in the world where wine was found earlier, but the marketplace was really established in Greece. And in fact, the Romans came to really love the Greek wines so much that the Greeks actually were getting their wine taken from them for the Romans. And that's where they started to play around with things like Retsana, the addition of um, tree sap to the wines to make them undesirable to the Romans. And yet the Greek palate adapted to the Retsana style. So lots of little fables, little stories, little journeys along the way. Let's get into our first wine and let's talk about some serious Greek wines. There's a lot of different DOs throughout Greece. Greece is just an immense number of teeny little appellations. And if any of you have been to Greece, which I have, you may have been to Athens, of course. That's one of the least impressive parts of Greece to me. Athens is a beautiful, beautiful city with incredible history, monuments, all the grandeur of a major market. But I got somebody has me up a little loud and has their speaker on, so getting a little bit of reverb. Um, but there are so many little parts of Greece to be impressed by, whether you're further up in the north, where we took a group and started up in Thessaloniki and worked our way down through Naoussa, and we pushed ourselves out towards the borders. We're in some really old vineyards along the border, with Macedonia, and boy, there was just so many little things to appreciate along the way. In Nassau, we were taken into um, uh, these amazing burial sites that were that probably we shouldn't have been stepping into. So I don't want to incriminate myself and talk about it any further. But the mayor of the city had the keys to this amazing burial site, and he let us kind of walk right through it. I felt a little bit uncomfortable. So we'll get back to the wine here. Let's take a look at our first wine, and we're going to taste some Roditis from the Peloponnese. This is a one I've called one of the best wine values on our website. This is a crispy, dry white wine with a lot of character and is really well done by a great wine producer. It is a grape variety a little less known. The Peloponnese is also a little less synonymous with the greatest wines of Greece, but the future reputation is what we're working to help improve. There was a moment where Greece was producing volume of inexpensive, less interesting wine that has changed greatly. And there's also this wonderful culture of exportation now with some fantastic, well organized exporters that are taking very good care of the wines and properly distributing them. And all of those things were not true 20 years ago. Here's the Peloponnese. We are very close by Athens, but this is a peninsula. We're in the northern part of the Peloponnese. And this brand, the Gulf of Corinth, um, let me see if I can read what that says over there. 150 AD, geographer Pausanias referred to the local villages as ideal for cultivating grapes, improving the region serious about Venice history. The wild vines were planted different altitudes. We've got grapes from 1,800 to possibly 3,000 feet in elevation, speaking in meters, 650 to 1,050. Here's a look at our facility. They do use a lot of clay urn. It's a beautiful facility with an amazing view. They've got very high ethos using lots of organic and vegetarian, vegan practices. Um, Everything happens naturally here. Wild yeast. This is basically raw, real, um, natural wine. The use of sulfur is minimal. This wine is naturally also uh, antioxidative because it has such a nice pH, closer to 3 than 4. It resists oxidation. It has uh, pretty nice lifespan ahead of it as well. Even for a fairly inexpensive wine, you can see how the vineyards are organized and they are small. They're unirrigated. They are wilds, basically, bush vine. Look at our winemaking facility. Looks like any state-of-the-art facility. Um, Wonderful fermentation tank, stainless steel, cool, cold fermentation facilities. Not a lot of use of wood. Not necessary on a wine like this where you want to capture the character of that coastal influence, the freshness, the dryness, the cleanliness. Let's taste. I think you can get a wonderful nose of salt air, some nice Mediterranean subtle nuances. Like I smell things like capers. Smell things like olives. I smell some dried herbs, sage. I smell restraint. The alcohol is restrained. I have the bottle right here. We're at 12 alcohol. Love to hear some comments, what you guys think of wine number one. Bone dry, chalky mineral. I would put this in the zone of like a Sancerre, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, Albarino. These are dry, clean, crispy white wines that are made slightly reductive, not a lot of oxidative character. Really, what you're smelling is that big ocean and rock. And so you get that minerality. Not super complex, not super powerful, light, refreshing, great acidity, wonderful with food. Definitely would want to have some wonderful, maybe, you know, in this part of the world, you'd eat a lot of fish. Perfect. Little lemon, little some caper, some grill, like right off the fire in the vineyards in the restaurants in this town. You may even see a restaurant use a little marble countertop, some grape, uh, dried grape cuttings, vineyard cuttings, right on the marble counter. Put on the fish on a little skewer, little barbecue, get some grill marks. Um, the potatoes in this part of the world are magical. The tomatoes are as well. Potatoes, like a French fry there would be made in olive oil. It would have this, they'd be larger, very crispy, and served with almost everything. And beautiful salads, cucumbers, feta cheese, all those things would be beautiful with this wine. I hope you guys enjoy it, but do appreciate the fact that it's a $14 bottle of wine. And if it's not your favorite, maybe we need to take the budget up a little bit, and we'll do that with our following wines. Wine number two tonight is an Assyrtiko. And this is the grape that I think Greece should be and will be, is famous for, the white grape. And we're going to taste two versions of it tonight. One from the northern part of Greece, up in Naoussa, not normally where you find this grape, but Thymiopoulos, the producer, does do things a little in a slightly unorthodox way. And so he tried to plant some Assyrtiko. First of all, when you're talking about the most famous place for Assyrtiko, you're talking about Santorini, and we'll taste a great Santorini in a little while. But that real estate is expensive, makes the wines expensive, and makes Assyrtiko thought of as a ultra premium variety, maybe even outprices the marketplace just a little bit, because the yield that you're going to get off Santorini is just not big enough to be competitive in the real wine world. So you plant it up in Naoussa, which is a great growing area. Land is a lot more abundant, cheaper labor, and you can make something special here. Great weather, amazing diurnal range. And here's where you'll find these vineyards up in the north, and the Naoussa DOP. This is a wine from Postolis Thermopolis, and I apologize for my Greek, but anything that has that many letters in it, I have a hard time ingesting in my small brain. They'll pronounce very well, but the names are mind blowing to me to see how many vowels and consonants are being used at the same time. Um, and so this producer, who was a guest of ours towards the end of 2023, he's really highly thought of for his passionate projects, his dedication to sustainability, his quality of winemaking. He is proving people that you can do things where other people couldn't. Um, and he's really making some wines that are quite enjoyable for the wine world. And there's a lot of value to his wines. His property is gorgeous. And I do want to recommend that everybody, if you can go to Greece and celebrate the fact that your dollar is so strong in Greece, especially when you get up here in this marketplace in Nassau. We stayed at a charming little bed and breakfast in this marketplace. Uh, uh, the mom or grandma cooking breakfast for us, and I think in what would have been a maybe it was a 4 star. There certainly wasn't a 5 star hotel in Nassau, but it was a high three or a decent four. Nice, modest place, but really family operated. Great food, and I think the room night was something in the neighborhood of 75 to $80 a night, and it was quite enjoyable. Not the Four Seasons, but I would not want to be in a Four Seasons in northern Greece. Sorry. Assyrtiko. Let's see how we do. All of these wines will have some personality that's distinctively Greek, but they're not trying to make them French wines. They're not trying to make Italian wines. They really have unique grape varieties. They have great climate. They love their wine. In fact, some of the challenges for us is that they drink most of the wine that they produce. So they're exporting now at a pretty good clip, especially the best wines. The volume is mostly being consumed inside of Greece. I love this got some nice ripeness. I get a lot of slightly nutty, almost almond nuance here. Lots of citrus. It's a little more complex than our first wine. It's got a lot more body, mouth feel. I like that a lot. Stone and citrus, floral, crispy acidity, oily body texture. So richness, I think I'd say that's how these are their descriptions, not ours. But that finish is prolonged. There's a good amount of volume here. And I think Assyrtiko really is an important grape variety. There's our winemaker and his facility, all stainless steel, keeping it clean, keeping it real. And this is a whopping $17. So it's a huge price jump over the last wine. $2 more, but really, again, great value for a delicious wine that has great food application, has a lot more character than the first wine. But sometimes I really love, especially that first wine in a super cool, cold temperature, just really nice and light and crispy. This wine's got a lot more going on. You can kind of see the need to take the food up a couple of notches, give it a little bit more personality, a little more seasoning, a little more spice, a little more maybe even sauciness. I really do like this wine. I hope you do as well. They I wouldn't promote this as a long aging wine. This is a 2021, nice and fresh, kind of like Sauvignon Blanc, and maybe even more in line with New World type of wines. I would drink these wines when they're 2, 3, 4, 5 years old max. I would want to keep this wine a little fresher. But again, if you can find wines, I want to ask you, just think about it. Where in California can you find a wine for $17 with this kind of personality? I don't know that it really exists. There's maybe a couple of examples, but not many. See some chats. Let me see if I can get in there. Thomas, thank you for posting in the chat. You know, I don't know how this wine would age, Thomas. I would not promote it as an ageable wine.
The one on the aging was for the first one, Ian.
Oh, very
But
good.
yeah, I hit because you mentioned it ages well, and when I
Yeah,
was drinking, I thought, oh, it's 4 years old, but I just can't. I could. I mean, it tasted so fresh, so maybe that's a sign of it aging well. This one, by the way, I remember when this gentleman was on. His wines just blew me away. I don't know if you remember my comments to you, but he's a tremendous winemaker,
yeah.
and you're right. There's nothing in California that I know of that can touch this at this price. It's fabulous.
Fantastic. Awesome. And I'm pretty sure we didn't taste this one when he was on. We were tasting some other. I was trying to be a little different. I'm not sure if I accomplished that.
I'm pretty sure I'll look up. I sent a friend who happened to be Greek, knew nothing about Greek wine. I sent a synopsis of it. I'll look it up and see. I was pretty sure that we had his Assyrtiko. I'd never heard of the grape before
Very
that
good.
night, and he
I
was on.
carry I
Yeah,
carry a blend from him, a
yeah,
white blend that's a few dollars less, also in the ATMA label.
that
And
might
then
be.
I carry some of his high-end wines as well. But I may have done this one before. Um, what we're going to do is takes the same grape variety now. We're going to go to a more premium version. We'll head down to Santorini, and this producer makes some spectacular labels, really cool packaging. Um, I was very, very excited to find this producer too. A lot of these, like I said, like 20 years ago, these things weren't even leaving the country. Now there's this set of small importers that have been able to get these into America, keep them fresh, and make them accessible to us all. I'm in wine number three going into my glass.
Hmm. Wow. Oops.
Hey, it's all right. Be live, Tom. I like it. You take over the podcast if I go down. Um, you can see on the map here where we're at, Santorini. This is a definitely a premium destination. If you've ever traveled there, it can be very expensive to get to Santorini and to stay in Santorini. Everything around Santorini has a premium to it, um, and that keeps the numbers probably in line because it's such a popular destination. So grape growing on this island also premium. Um, you're pretty far away from everything. You've got to be very self-sufficient, properly funded, and really be able to control your own destiny. This producer's exporting into multiple markets and has some really good press as well. Here's a look at the Shea. It's very modest. It's nothing too huge, probably in perfect proportion with how much total wine they're making. But this wine is 90% Assyrtiko and 10% other indigenous. But what Santorini has that no place else has is views like that. Just really stunning geography, the weather, the smell, the salty air. All these things are conducive to great wine like we have in the glass. Um, really optimal Shea for making good wine. Minimal use of wood. We're using old wood barrels that really are there just for time and evaporation, not for wood penetration. Color, still very youthful. We're in the $45 range. I carry Assyrticos from, you know, that $20 range to $50 range. Then you pop up and I got a couple that are in that 65 and I'm not even sure if I have any more of it. That there's one producer that's making this 120 dollar Assyrtiko off of the island. He's got an incredible reputation. I was only sold 3 bottles was the allocation, like 5 cases made it to America. So I wanted to see if someone would find it, and they did. Um, Rarities. These are rarities. They're, getting a couple of these bottles is kind of fun sometimes to have stuff that just is really spread very thinly into the finer wine corners of our planet. This is a brand to watch and a brand to know about. What do you guys think of that?
It's super interesting. The second I saw Wet Sea Rocks, I was like, yes, that is exactly what this is.
Oh, 100%.
I love the funkiness of it.
That mouthfeel is just so unique and so chiseled. I mean, I really think that this should be compared to Chablis at the Premier Cru, Grand Cru level. And uh, I would love to have Chablis versus Assyrtiko in a future tasting and see how they kind of correspond. It's really fascinating stuff. Awesome. Hope you're enjoying our look at some super premium Greek wines tonight. We, of course, talk about wines from all over the world and have some fascinating wines to look at every once in a while. As we go into our next wine, earlier we talked about the first white is one of the great values on the website. Rosé market is a little wild right now because we've definitely hit peak rosé about a year and a half ago, and it's been a hard break since then. So for me to bring in a new rosé, man, I better like it. And I think I brought in 3 in the last year. That's it. This is really cool. Teeny production. The town itself, gotta love a town called Drama. I mean, if you're gonna have a winemaking town, how cool is it to have a winemaking town called Drama? I think it's the perfect name. Um, it is in Macedonia, northern Greece. Brand new, founded in 2015. Um, in fact, I'm not sure how much prior to that Drama had its own DO and was really recognized. I think it was all combined into Macedonia appellation before that. These are all fairly new developments for Greece to have all these DOs set up. One downside of doing this in my car, don't have a spit bucket. Guess I could open the car door and don't want to do that. All right, so we are about to taste this fantastic little find in northern Greece, this rosé. The brand's got some cool ideas, old roots and new roots. I think that's kind of cool. This is 50% Xinomavro and a blend of other indigenous varietals. These are all fairly famous grape varieties to northern Greece. Love how pale pink this wine is. Sometimes with rosés, I start the evening off with them, but as we were tasting 3 whites, I thought this would be a nice kind of break before the reds. That's what's cool about rosés. You can do that. You can put it in the front or put it in the middle. so got such great minerality and texture, stoniness. Like these things are so cool. These are concrete tanks, which also have some glycol inside, so they can keep the temperatures down. There is a porous nature to concrete that does allow for some oxygen to touch the wines. The inside of these tanks are rounded on the bottom, so fermentations kind of go in a circular motion, and it kind of pulls in some air, and you can almost feel that in this rosé, that there's something kind of texturally softer and round. It's just kind of these concrete tanks just kind of help do that to wines. They kind of pump up the freshness and give them a little bit of a softer, rounder, creamier texture. Honestly, I would maybe even uh, talk about. That's exactly what I was going to say, Thomas. Wouldn't even know this is rosé from the taste. It's kind of a white wine, right? It's got that. It's a white wine made from red grape varieties, and so it's zero skin contact, but you've got some really cool textures there, and the brightness and no tannin. So super great to entertain with this wine. I'm gonna guess that I might be like one of two places that got this wine in California. You can take a look around and see if you can find it out there. Um, I want it to be enjoyed. I'm maybe able to get some more. I didn't get it all that long ago. In fact, I think when I got this rosé, I was like, I want people to find out about this. I need to do a Greek Zoom with some better wine and show this in that context. And so, if you like it, grab some. I would have this with any fine meal. Any, if I can, as soon as it's warm enough, I'm taking this to a pool party. I'm gonna, I'm gonna find somebody's house to bring a bottle of this to, and I'm probably gonna pretend that this is a white wine with a sushi dinner. I would love that. Empty out that glass. I'm going to a surprise party tonight. All right. Now we go to our first of two reds, and our first one back to Thymiopoulos again. When we had Thymiopoulos on our Zoom in the end of 2023, we tasted some of his higher end Xinomavro. This is his young vines, and it's an extreme value. So same producer as that first Assyrtiko that we had earlier, back in that same area. This is really what he was setting out to do, was to really make Xinomavro his deal. And that's what it looks like there. I can remember that look right there, and driving through these beautiful rolling hills. In fact, we went in November, like we always do. We travel in November or April, and in November we got there just around uh, Thanksgiving, and when by the time we got to Naoussa, we got pulled in the driveway, got checked into the hotel, had a nice meal with a group and a bunch of winemakers, went back to our hotel, went to bed, woke up white. It was blanketed in snow. It was so beautiful. And there were these fruit trees everywhere, these big persimmons, orange persimmons, and snow covered. It was just like right off of a card. Really, really beautiful spot. Fragrant aromas of fresh red fruits, herbs, elegant vegetal character. I think Xinomavro has a lot of tendencies like Grenache and a lot of tendencies like Nebbiolo. And on the Grenache side, there's a very typical nose and character of smelling tomato. And so you're going to get a little bit of that tomato, and then you're going to get a little bit of the tar and roses as well, and some of that acidity and tannin. Look, these vineyards are so beautiful, so abundant, and no irrigation. Uh, by doing this here, you just have spatially these vines are free to expand, and um, it's a very low use of work to keep these vineyards in good conditions. You might need to go through and cut back some of the grasses at some point, but uh, really keeps the soils fertile, protected, organic, natural, sustainable. Here they are in a different part of the season. 20 bucks. Don't know if you have tomato plants in your backyard, but if you do, you know that smell when you walk in, all that tomato leaf, black pepper shaker, crack, crack black pepper. Really a gentle, fun mouthfeel. Man, this wine rocks. I love this. And it's so crunchy, but not heavy, and really fun with food. Um, you can go all year round with this wine. This could be like the light red during the summer with some grilled meats, or you could do it with some stews. I'm thinking of like lamb, which is just, that's what they primarily eat in Greece. You're gonna have some lamb chops. Um, I like I like finding like little lamb. They're almost like a steak instead of the chop, and um, get a lot more value, a lot more meat. Um, I like it pretty rare, kind of on the medium rare side of rare. Not medium, but definitely closer to rare on the medium rare scale. With wine like this would be a lot of fun. Yeah, so if you're not into red meats, Windy, um, you know, uh, let me know. But I could see doing this with red flesh fish as well. So I mean, right now I just had the most amazing piece of salmon, skin on, put it under the broiler, make that skin crispy, the other side's ready. And it's fantastic to do that. Yeah, ahi pokey for sure, man. This is so good with red flesh fish. All right. Wine number 6. This is a discovery. Much like the rosé, this is another discovery. We're up in Thrace, a little further than Drama. Thrace sounds like a next hero in was that not a comic book guy, but one of those comic book guys coming from some comic book. It sounds like the new character that's going to enter the league of champions or something. What do they call those things? Race. And this red wine, I tasted it, and sometimes I'm 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 a little bit of a I can get a little carried away with some of my suppliers that bring in stuff that just knocks me out, and I'm like, that is going to be so hard to sell. I mean, a wine from Thrace? Are you kidding me? No one's ever heard of this before. Send me a case. So this is really fun, and top top little producer. I buy a couple of wines from Anatolikos, and they are all great. Again, you see the clay urns, natural fermentations, wild yeasts, um, really cool indigenous grape varieties. Don't have a lot of traction in wine lists anywhere, but this is a true discovery from Greece. I noticed the trellising system here, and it's kind of unique, growing a little higher there. Probably just experimenting with some things there. Um, yeah, this is a great destination too. Our group went to this winery, and we were able to taste some of the wines from barrel. They do experiment with a lot of different international varieties as well. Malagozia from this property is amazing. I carry right now this fantastic blend of Assyrtiko and Malagozia from them. And then this wine, it's called Natural Red. It's not cheap, $60, but I want you to try it with me. You get lost in the nose on this wine. I think it's super interesting, different. It's got like cherries galore. Can almost smell the sunshine ripening this fruit. It's got this really amazing nose. The mouthfeel, that's what caught me. I was like, whoa, that's so delicious. It's wonderfully textured and dense. It's not hard or chewy or tannic. It feels like you might be tasting something Rhone, but these grape varieties are just so unknown and so uncategorized, hard to compare and contrast. They're very Greek. I mean, the olive notes are abundant here. It smells like the wild chaparral, the smell of the wind in your nose as you're in northern Greece. This is what it smells like. It's floral, it's dried herbs, it's kind of like high desert and really beautiful. And this wine just really takes me there. This was a 2017, which I just bought. So they bring this in. I'm sure this is a tougher sell. I know this. Um, and I I bring it out at a couple of dinners. I do there's this restaurant called M Grill that I'm doing a dinner at coming up very soon. Um, that this is like an Brazilian steakhouse uh, for about $80 a person on on the normal menu. We're gonna do on our dinner. We're gonna be upgraded to the special meat dinner package. But on a normal night, it's 16 different cuts of meat. Your lamb, your chicken, some fish, but just all different types of beef. It's around $80, and it's basically all you can eat. Super clean restaurant. They do a great job. I'm so impressed with them. I am not a promoter of all you can eat restaurants. I am not a promoter of Brazilian or that kind of steakhouse thing, especially the larger chain ones, which I won't mention. Those just never, the quality is just never there. This place is super. And it's right next to the Wiltern. If you ever have a concert to go to, you got a great parking lot. And we're gonna do a dinner there, and it's called the Casual Cabernet Collectors Dinner. But this is the type of wine I would like to take to that restaurant to have all these grilled different meats. I think it's got a lot of application. I think you'd really enjoy sharing this with folks. It is very natural, low sulfur inputs. This one has something for everybody in it, and I hope you enjoyed it. But we are trying to push that calendar out as far as we can and make it available to you. But we're going hard all year long, and we thank you guys for your support. Have a great night, everybody, and be well, and go Dodgers.
Have fun.
Thanks, guys.